Everything is insured in this hall.
Primary vitreoretinal lymphoma is one of the greatest masquerade syndromes. It can present as vitritis, subretinal mass lesion, and other presentations which can mimic uveitis. It appears in waxing and waning phase, thus difficult to diagnose. Classical appearance of leopard skin is seen where multiple hyper and hyperpigmented lesions are seen, which are better appreciated on autofluorescence imaging. As confused with uveitis, ophthalmologists initiate corticosteroids, which are lympholytic and further delay diagnosis. Even steroid leads to disappearance of B cells prior to vitreous biopsy. Biopsy is the gold standard for diagnosis, but vitreous biopsy often comes out to be negative, while retinal biopsy is cumbersome and has its own complication rate. PVRL cells are located mostly anterior to Bruch's membrane as shown in this OCT image, invading vitreous, retina, subretinal space and space between RPE and Bruch's membrane. Thus, access to subretinal space logically appears to improve the cytological diagnosis. A 66-year-old male was undertaken for diagnostic vitrectomy. After making sclerotomy ports, vitreous biopsy was taken under air at 600 cut rate per minute, followed by diluted vitreous sample, which was taken by infusion on, following which core vitrectomy was completed after posterior vitreous detachment. Site of minimally invasive subretinal biopsy was chosen away from the macula. Retinotomy was made at the edge of the lesion and 25 gauge soft tip was inserted in subretinal space and moved in all directions to increase the yield. Fluid air exchange is done and endolaser is applied to the retinotomy site. Ports are sutured. 36-year-old female is undertaken for diagnostic vitrectomy. The vitreous biopsy is taken as per steps previously highlighted. A retinotomy is made at temporal edge of large subretinal lesion using 25 gauge soft tip. Minimal invasive subretinal biopsy is taken. The tumor cells are displaced using this 25 gauge soft tip towards the retinotomy site. These repeated movements help in debulking of the tumor cells and their aspiration into the soft tip. Fluid air exchange followed by laser around the retinotomy is done. Case 3 highlights the use of intraoperative OCT in minimally invasive subretinal biopsy. IOCT shows CME and location of lymphoma cells between RPE and Bruch's. As this lesion is at posterior pole, we choose another lesion for MISB located superiorly. IOCT shows the lymphoma cells going into the lumen of soft tip cannula. In pre and post biopsy OCT picture, we can see flattening as well as decrease in the width of the lesion. Endolaser is done. Biopsy from vitreous mirror showed scanty lymphocytes while subretinal aspirate shows plenty of lymphocytic cells. We had 7 cases of subretinal biopsy, of which 2 were diagnosed on vitreous, while all 7 cases showed lymphocytes in minimally invasive subretinal biopsy. All 7 cases were CD20 positive, while 2 cases had CNS involvement. Subretinal biopsy helped in early diagnosis and reduced delay in the initiation of treatment.
Thank you, Mohit. Any questions? We can take any question from the audience. Dr. Naresh is here with us. No question?
So in the first 2 cases, sir, in which I made retinotomies, I put in SF6 20% at the end of surgery. In the third case, which was very superior, in which I used MIOCT, there was no fluid at the end of it. I left the patient under air. So SF6 20% in 2 and just air in the third one.
The size of the soft tip,
the size is standard, sir. So I do a 25 gauge pass.
No, the normal size. You don't cut it.
No. So typically, because it's supposed to go underneath, if we cut it short, it kind of so this is actually based on the passive capillary action of the soft tip.
Then
and the
still you have to kind of maneuver those cells into it.
Again, sir, depends whether the first case had minimal cells which were flat and spread out. The second case had like a heap. So if there's a heap, then we might need to, then we can, because that the idea is to increase the yield. Okay. Most of the time, 50% plus cases, just a diagnostic vitrectomy is negative. And after a vitrectomy is negative, you try and convince the patient again, if a suspicion is high, ki ab hum kuch aur karenge, is a little bit difficult to do.
So how do you prevent dilution of the sample? Like, you are taking out the cells and already you've done a vitrectomy and it's on fluid, right?
Yeah. So the subretinal aspirate actually is very difficult to dilute. So when we put the soft tip in, it's actually just not it's not attached to the machine on active suction. It's actually attached to a 2 cc syringe with the plunger out, and the soft tip goes straight into the subretinal space. By passive capillary action, those cells get sucked up into the hub, into the bore of that 2 cc syringe, and when we get it out like that. So that is actually the most undiluted specimen, and it comes straight from the source from where the cells are actually breaking through. Also, with the cutter, no matter how much we decrease the cut rate, it'll actually chew away the cells. Even a 600 cut rate, with the cutter, a vitreous specimen from a cutter will not give you as many viable cells. Here you aren't cutting the cells. You're just passively aspirating the cells, and if the friction is not that much, it's unlikely that the cells will disintegrate. So more cells from the source, passively taken and undiluted in the passive suction of the 2 cc syringe.
Is there in these cases, is there any IL-6, IL-10 ratio?
Yeah, so I didn't put that in. So all of these, we're lucky enough at PGI to have an in-house DBT lab which does IL-10, IL-6 ratio. Since the past 1 year, we've also been doing the mid-88 mutation, and we also do CD20s and a whole lot of other markers, including flow cytometry for gamma and lambda heavy chains. I haven't put that here. That's actually, this has been sent for publication elsewhere. This was just to highlight the technique and not the diagnostic side of it.
Thank you, Mohit.